Hi guys, welcome back to my movie channel. Today let's watch an action movie, Killers, released in 2010. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. This guy dived to the bottom of the sea, opened the blue mesh bag, and took out the black plastic box. He climbed onto the cruise ship via a chain attached to the anchor. He quickly installed TNT in the helicopter, then started the transponder and immediately left. A bodyguard pointed a gun at his head. He immediately attacked the bodyguard. Immediately, he threw the bodyguard's pistol away and locked his throat. He used the force of his arm to break the bodyguard's neck. He swam back to shore, dressed in design clothes, pulled out his phone, and turned on the TNT's timer. The plane that had just taken off was blown up into 100 pieces. He worked for the CIA. This was his 14th target killed. He's Spencer, the CIA's top spy. He specialized in pursuing targets that the CIA had a hard time dealing with. After completing the mission, he retreated and met a beautiful girl named Jen. Jen soon fell in love with him because Spencer was a handsome and muscular guy. Because Jen recently broke up with her boyfriend, she decided to go on a trip with her parents to relax. There she met Spencer by chance and fell in love with him immediately. Jen purposefully wore a pretty dress and dined with Spencer. Spencer also danced happily with Jen at the bar. He also conveniently used his elbow to attack a man who wanted to flirt with Jen. That evening, he took Jen back to his room. He intended to tell Jen about his true identity. Unexpectedly, because Jen drank a lot, she fell asleep early. The next day, while the two were enjoying their love life, Spencer received a book. Inside contained the meeting point with his superior, Holbrook. He told Holbrook that he was leaving the CIA and marrying Jen. Regardless of Holbrook's advice, he still insisted on marrying Jen. On the day of meeting Jen's father, he challenged Spencer to his shooting ability. Spencer calmly took the gun and shot down the target. Mr. Kornfeld was extremely pleased with his performance, so he immediately agreed to let him marry Jen. After getting married, he and Jen lived in a mansion and both found a normal job. Neighbors also treated Spencer extremely well. Just when he thought everything was settled, he suddenly received a text from Holbrook. He decoded the message Holbrook sent him and immediately called him. Holbrook asked to meet Spencer at the hotel as soon as possible. He immediately took out his pistol and prepared to leave. When he turned around, his father-in-law was standing behind him. Turns out he was here to take Spencer home to celebrate Spencer's birthday. Because he didn't want to be revealed, he just had to follow his father-in-law. When the car stopped at the door of the house, he saw that there were no lights in the house. The atmosphere at this time was extremely strange. He accidentally pulled the car key from the car and left Mr. Kornfeld outside. He slowly opened the door and pulled out his pistol. Suddenly, the lights in the room came on. It turned out that Jen had brought the neighbors here to celebrate Spencer's birthday. Luckily, no one noticed he was carrying a gun. Here he tries to contact Holbrook again. However, Holbrook's phone was disconnected. He felt something was wrong. The party quickly ended, and he also saw off all the guests. Spencer's neighbor, Harry, was drunk and slept at their house. The next day, after learning that Jen was going on a business trip, he immediately helped Jen pack her luggage, wanting her to leave the house as soon as possible. As long as Jen wasn't home, he could easily contact Holbrook. Unexpectedly, when Jen was just driving away, Henry picked up a kitchen knife and attacked Spencer. Spencer quickly dodged, immediately picking up a spoon to fight against Henry. All the furniture in the house was destroyed. He lifted the curtains to lock Henry's throat. However, Henry was extremely strong. He resisted madly. When Henry was about to escape from the curtain, Jen gave up her business trip and returned home. The scene in front of her left her dumbfounded. Spencer immediately ordered Jen upstairs to get the gun. Jen sped upstairs, grabbed the pistol, and aimed it at Henry. She opened fire and shot Henry in the arm. Spencer used the force of his arm to stun Henry. Then he tied Henry to a chair. Spencer hit Henry's wound with his gun to wake him up. He asked Henry to explain why he killed him. It turned out that Henry was an assassin. He was assigned to kill Spencer 3 years ago. He pretended to be Spencer's neighbor, and yesterday he had the chance to kill Spencer. Yesterday, hunting Spencer mission officially started. The bounty for killing Spencer was $20 million. Immediately, Spencer took out a dagger to try to kill Henry, but Jen stopped him. As he hesitated, a mysterious assassin appeared. He opened fire on their house. Spencer quickly took Jen into the garage. He drove into the house and escaped through the door. Henry took this opportunity to break free from the rope. He smashed the windshield with a submachine gun, furiously attacking Spencer and Jen. Spencer decided to drive to the construction site, which caused Henry's car to crash. Taking this opportunity, Spencer drove straight into Henry's car. Henry's car fell from above. Of course, this accident also caused Henry to die. After Henry's death, Jen began to doubt her husband's identity. Henry only had to confess that he was a CIA agent. 3 years ago, he tried to explain his identity, but at that time, Jen was asleep, so she couldn't hear his words. Spencer took Jen to the hotel to find the room where Holbrook was staying. The door to the room was closed, so it couldn't be opened. Jen handed him the janitor's pass, and she looked at him like an idiot. He entered the room and carefully observed his surroundings. At this point, he discovered that Holbrook was killed. Holbrook's room was a mess. He scoured every nook and cranny, eventually finding Holbrook's watch. Holbrook's watch has a memory card slot, but the memory card inside was gone. After confirming that there were no clues left at the scene, Spencer just locked the door and left. At this point, Jen was extremely angry. She went into the supermarket and bought it like crazy. She told Spencer she might be pregnant, so she needed to buy a pregnancy test. He was willing to pay for the piles of pregnancy tests Jen bought. At this point, the shop steward reached behind his back to take out the card machine when Spencer misunderstood that he was taking a gun. Soon after, Spencer attacked the man. The two quickly left the supermarket and went to Spencer's corporate office. They used the computer at work and discovered that there were many photos of Spencer and Jen inside. These photos were all taken from different angles by their neighbors. This showed that all of their neighbors were bounty hunters who wanted to kill Spencer for $20 million. Spencer felt extremely worried because this was related to Jen's life. However, Jen was extremely calm. She went to the bathroom to take a pregnancy test. He pulled out a pistol and went inside the restroom. After confirming the restroom was safe, he let Jen in. Spencer was outside guarding. At this time, a beautiful female colleague named Vivian came to work overtime. He quickly put his pistol away to chat with her. However, Vivian immediately kicked him. She picked up the pistol and attacked him. He threw the printer at Vivian, then turned the table upside down and moved quickly to avoid the bullets. He hid behind the wall. Spencer suddenly pierced the wall and locked Vivian's throat. However, Vivian was extremely strong. She used force at her waist and knocked Spencer to the ground. Spencer quickly stood up, punching Vivian in the waist. He thought he could easily injure Vivian, but he didn't expect that Vivian was so strong and flexible. She could even defeat him. She used a rope and buckled Spencer's neck. Seeing that Spencer was about to be killed, Jen rushed out of the restroom and aimed the gun at Vivian to stop her. Taking the opportunity that the two women were arguing, he shot the chandelier string off with the gun. After killing Vivian, Jen took out a pregnancy test to show Spencer the results. 2 lines appeared on the pregnancy test, and Spencer was dumbfounded. It seemed that Spencer still didn't understand what the 2 lines on the pregnancy test meant. Jen was extremely angry. She wanted to protect the child, so she decided to separate from Spencer and drive away. Spencer stood alone in the wind. He didn't know what to do. At this moment, a delivery driver appeared. Spencer walked up to the man. The man immediately pulled out a submachine gun to attack him. Spencer quickly ran away and fortunately avoided dozens of bullets. When he had nowhere else to run, one of Spencer's co-workers, Olivia, hit the delivery driver with her car. Spencer stood up to thank Olivia, but Olivia suddenly accelerated the car to rush towards him. He immediately ran away and quickly got into the delivery van. At the critical moment, Jen drove her car into Olivia's car. Spencer took this opportunity to open fire on the oil tanks near Olivia's car and blow them up. He was about to get in Jen's car to go home, but the two were only halfway there when their car broke down. The two of them could only walk home. As a result, when they were about to return home, they were attacked by another assassin. He pulled Jen away from the assassin's car. The male assassin with a sniper rifle continuously hunted Spencer. Spencer just had to climb over the fence with Jen to speed away. The 2 assassins also drove their cars to damage the fence to chase the 2. However, the car crashed into the fire hydrant and the 2 assassins could no longer continue hunting Spencer. After a while on the run, the 2 of them finally made their way through the neighborhood block party. The place was extremely lively and Spencer didn't let his guard down. He continued to look around. At this time, their neighbor, Kristen, came to greet them. However, he didn't say a word and went straight home. He let Jen rest first, and he pulled out a bunch of weapons to fight against the killers. Soon after, the killer couple, Mac and Lily, sneaked into their house. They went upstairs and shot the closet, turning it into a wasp nest. They opened the closet door to check, at which point Spencer jumped down from the top of the closet and attacked them. He killed Lily with a gun and soon after knocked out Mac. At the same time, Kristen took out a pistol and pointed it at Jen's head. She threatened Jen and forced Jen to put down the gun. Jen had no other choice. She immediately raised her hand in surrender. Kristen was very happy. She thought that she could use Jen's life to threaten Spence, then kill Spencer, easily get $20 million. At this time, Jen's father, Mr. Kornfeld, appeared. He quickly opened fire and killed Kristen and her accomplices. When Jen thought it was over, Spencer went downstairs and pointed his gun at Mr. Kornfeld. This scene left Jen dumbfounded on the spot. She asked Spencer to put down the gun. However, Spencer told her that the real mastermind was her father. Mr. Kornfeld was also unafraid to admit that all of this was his plan. 3 years ago, Mr. Kornfeld soon discovered Spencer was a top CIA agent who had committed countless bloody massacres. At first, he didn't want Jen to marry Spencer, but because he didn't want Jen to hurt, he reluctantly accepted his daughter's marriage. He hired a lot of assassins posing as Spencer's neighbors to protect Jen, in case Spencer would bully her, and the reason why he started this hunt was that he discovered that Holbrook had betrayed the CIA and caused secret sabotage, so Mr. Kornfeld killed Holbrook. 3 years ago, the person Spencer was tasked with killing was Mr. Kornfeld. However, Mr. Kornfeld had seen through the trap, so he didn't die in the explosion. After hearing the whole thing, Spencer finally understood. Turns out Mr. Cornfelt was Holbrook's superior. It turns out that 3 years ago, Holbrook ordered Spencer to kill Mr. Cornfelt to get Mr. Cornfelt's position. Spencer immediately dropped his weapon and raised his hand in surrender. He promised Mr. Cornfelt that he would have nothing to do with the CIA in the future. When he saw that Spencer obeyed him, Mr. Cornfelt also put down his gun and decided to spare his life. Their family finally returned to the peaceful life as before. 10 months later, Spencer planted a small bomb and a wind chime hanging in his son's room. Around the child's bed were set up infrared alarms. All of this was done to protect his son and was ordered by Mr. Cornfelt. Just like that, Spencer, under the pressure of his powerful father-in-law, became a typical and qualified house husband. Alright, my video ends here. Like and subscribe to watch more videos like this. Don't forget to turn your notifications. That really supports my channel. Goodbye.